Long ago, in the land of Aloma, a prosperous Igbo kingdom, there lived Prince Jide, the only son of King Ezeudo, a wise and just ruler. The prince, whose name meant "hold on to justice," was beloved by the people and destined to inherit the throne. However, the prince's stepmother, Lady Ikemdirim, driven by greed, sought to take the throne for herself and her son Ikechukwu. One fateful evening, Lady Ikemdirim lured Prince Jide to the sacred forest under the guise of a family program. Unknown to him, she had poisoned his palm wine. The prince began to feel weak and dizzy as they entered the forest. Her plan was for her hired thugs to finish him off and bury his body, leaving no trace of his existence. But fate had other plans. As Jide stumbled through the forest, he fell into the river. The current carried him far away from the kingdom. He was eventually found unconscious by a group of traders who mistook him for a stranger and left him in a distant village near a refuse dump. When Jide awoke, he could remember nothing, not his name, his heritage, or his past. The villagers called him Onyekuzi, meaning the wanderer, as he scavenged for food among the dustbins. Despite his condition, his heart remained noble. He helped the poor, shared his migrant findings, and often mediated disputes among the villagers. Back in Aloma, Lady Ikemdirim declared Jide dead and took control of the royal wealth. She oppressed the poor with heavy taxes, claiming it was necessary to protect the kingdom. She maltreated her slaves. She made sure her guards were being dealt with anyone who flouted her orders. He found a beautiful young lady called Chachi, a poor but beautiful orphan who lived on the edge of the village. Chachi, though mocked by the villagers for her kindness and simplicity, was the only one who brought food to the forgotten prince. Chachi was known in the village for her compassionate heart, but her heart of kindness often made her a target for ridicule. Every evening, she would carry a small basket of yam, vegetables, and sometimes a bowl of palm oil to the dustbins where Jide stayed. The villagers laughed at her, calling her the girl of the trash. "Why do you waste your food on that dirty wanderer?" they jeered. But Amara ignored them. "Kindness is not wasted," she would reply. "Who are we to know what lies in another destiny?" Unaware of his true identity, Amarachi, also known as Chetachi, only saw Jide as a man in need. The prince, though confused about his past, found solace in her company. Her gentle words and warm smile were like rays of sunlight breaking through the fog of his lost memory. One evening, as Jide and Chetachi sat under the shade of an old palm tree close to the dustbin, sharing a simple meal, the sound of drums and flutes filled the air. In the distance, an entourage of Igbo kings, clad in royal regalia and surrounded by their guards, passed through the village on their way to a festival. The sight was mesmerizing. The golden crowns, the long red regalia, the dazzling beads reminded Jide of something buried deep within his mind. His heart raced as he rose to his feet, his eyes fixed on the procession. As the kings and their guards approached, a wave of memories flooded his mind. The grand halls of Aloma Palace, his father's den, but loving face, the royal emblem engraved on his bracelet, and the betrayal that led him to this forgotten place. Gideon clutched his head and shouted, "I am Gideon, the son of Izildu. I am the prince of Alaoma." Chachi stepped back in shock, watching as tears streamed down his face. He turned to her, his voice trembling. "Chachi, I remember. I am the prince, my father's son, and the heir to Alaoma's throne." As the king entourage moved closer, the guards noticed the bracelet on Gideon's wrist, the royal emblem of Alaoma. One of the kings, an old ally of Ezedu, stopped his procession and called out, "That bracelet belongs to the heir of Alaoma. How did it come to you?" Gideon stepped forward, his voice steady despite the emotions within him. "It is mine. I am Gideon, son of Ezedu, betrayed and left for dead by my hands, Lady Ikemdirim." The kings, recognizing the truth in his words, bowed slightly in respect. "You are the rightful ruler of Alaoma," one of them said. "Your people needs you." The villagers who had gathered to mock Gideon as usual now stood in stunned silence. The man they had ridiculed was no scavenger, he was a prince. Chachi, though overwhelmed, smiled through her tears. "I always knew you were destined for greatness," she whispered. Gideon took her hand. "And I would have been lost without your kindness, Chachi. You saw in me what I could not see in myself." With the king's support, Gideon returned to Alaoma to confront his wicked aunt, Lady Ikemdirim. Confident that her treachery would never be discovered, was unprepared for his arrival. "Your reign of lies is over, Ikemdirim," Gideon declared as he entered the palace, flanked by the kings and their guards. The people of Alaoma, who had suffered under our oppressive rule, rallied behind him. Ikemdirim was captured and exiled, as schemes dismantled. Gideon reclaimed his throne, vowing to rule with justice and compassion as his father had taught him. After his coronation, Gideon turned to Chachi, the woman who had shown him kindness when the world had turned his back. In front of the royal court, he said, "Chachi, you gave me hope when I had none. You saw a man in the dust and treated me like a king. I ask you now to be my queen and share this throne with me." Chachi, with tears in her eyes, humbled and overjoyed, accepted. The villagers who once mocked her now celebrated her as their queen, singing praises of her courage and compassion. So, under the reign of King Gideon and Queen Chachi, Alaoma flourished.